I am so excited to share this video with you. This video was taken a few years ago, and I met Julie Henry while I was studying homeopathy at the Ontario College of Homeopathic Medicine. Julie was one of my instructors and one of my supervisors, so I got to learn a lot from her, both in the classroom and in the clinical environment. I also had the opportunity to precept with her and see what it's like to practice with real patients as well in a private setting. So I'm so excited to share this with you, and Julie will talk about how she stumbled upon homeopathy along with her process through homeopathy and how it has affected her and her relationship with other individuals and her patients. And she answers a very common question, which is that of what is the difference between homeopathy and naturopathy and some of the parallels between them. So I really hope that you enjoy this video. I really enjoyed having the opportunity to ask Julie these questions and have this conversation with her. And you can find out more information about her below. She has a Facebook page, and you can find out more about what she's involved in. So enjoy, and please feel free to let us know if you have any questions.
What led you to be interested in studying homeopathy?
Got to find out exactly what it was, and then I really loved it. So it found me more than I found it, I think.
Studying and practicing homeopathy impacted your life?
In the course of studying homeopathy, you learn a lot about who you are as a person and what might be blocking you in understanding someone else, and that allows you to grow and change those things about yourself. So yeah, there's a lot of different levels to studying homeopathy.
You mentioned, along with the challenge, that it gets easier too. Like, how do you mean it gets easier?
Yeah, so I think, and that's probably a factor in getting to know yourself better. So I think you can be really hard on yourself in the beginning, and you can get really frustrated when you can't help someone, or you can't find the right remedy, or you don't understand the materia medica. But as you become more sympathetic with yourself, then you're able to become more sympathetic with your patients, and surprisingly, you understand them better. You put your own limitations on yourself, which I think we all know to some degree, but when you are practicing homeopathy, you can't hide it, you can't ignore that. You have to look at what your limitations are, because that's what's stopping you in understanding a patient or finding a remedy. It's your own limitation and really nothing else. If you're completely open and completely okay with who you are and how the world is, then the patient senses that, and you will understand, and they will open up, and then you're able to see them for who they are, because you're so clear. Yeah. It's a real clarity that comes the more you study, as long as you go within and study yourself. I can't imagine studying homeopathy and not doing that, but maybe it's possible. Maybe it's possible to just memorize all the materia medica and be really able to pull it up in your brain. And maybe that's how some people practice. But for me, it's about the openness between me and the patient, and the understanding that I have of the remedies and of the patient, and bringing that together, and of myself, so that I can understand them. Yeah, all connected. Yeah. For me.
Can you just give us how you would explain the difference between the two, or what each of them are?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's probably the most common question that I get, because people understand that both are natural medicine, so they must basically be the same. And they are both natural medicine, but that's about all that is the same. So a naturopath studies all areas of alternative medicine, so supplementation and herbs, and they study a little bit of homeopathy and water therapy and all the different modalities. And then when a patient comes in, they do a similar holistic intake to what I would do. It may be shorter than what I do, but they look at everything about you, and then they decide which modalities they're going to use with you. Maybe it's acupuncture and diet, maybe it's just supplements and herbs. It's their choice, and I think a lot of naturopaths end up specializing in one area or another, because that's a lot to know, all those different modalities, right?
Could be overwhelming.
So you could potentially see a naturopath who decided to specialize in homeopathy, and that's all they use, and that's when it can be confusing, because it would look exactly like what I do. But just like you can see your GP, but then they can send you to a specialist who's specialized in a particular area, I've specialized in homeopathy, so that's energy medicine, and it's using substances from nature that have been diluted and shaken hundreds and even thousands of times so that only the energy of that substance remains. So it's very different from an herb or a vitamin that you take orally and it works on your tissues to help heal physically. The homeopathic remedy dissolves under your tongue, and it's an energetic push or message to your body to heal on an energetic level, which is much deeper. It's the root of what keeps everything going. There's an invisible energetic force that in homeopathy we call the vital force, and in Chinese medicine they call it qi, and in yoga they call it your prana. Whatever you want to call it, there's an energy that keeps your body running smoothly. And when it gets disturbed or imbalanced, we have symptoms. And once you have symptoms, that's how I look at what remedy will work to bring your body back into balance. All those symptoms that your body is producing are signs of how your body specifically is out of balance. And every single person gets out of balance in their own unique way. So that's why there are thousands of homeopathic remedies. And when I'm treating someone, I'm trying to find the homeopathic remedy that's as specific as possible for what they're experiencing. So 10 people can come with arthritis, but everybody's symptoms are going to be a little bit different. Somebody's got it only in their hip, somebody else has it in their toes. And all of those different symptoms that you have lead me towards which homeopathic remedy is going to be the best match. And that remedy works as an energetic stimulus to bring balance back to your vital force, your prana, your chi, your body's energy. And when that energy is balanced, everything runs smoothly. You sleep better, your energy is better, your mood is better, because it balances your body at its very core. So that's homeopathy, and naturopathy. You have a variety of tools that you can use, and generally you end up specializing in one or a few of them, and treating using those tools. Yeah.
That's a very helpful answer because
yeah,
it's very
people really
common.
don't understand necessarily what the difference is. So
Yeah.
it's important as homeopaths that we teach people what the difference. And I'm sure you could see a homeopath who also uses supplements maybe or herbs, and so then the confusion is there too. It looks very similar, right? So, but in my practice, I only use homeopathic remedies and I don't use anything else. So, and I think that's classically what the idea of homeopathy is: just a single remedy and a single dose, and see what the body does with that. Based on how the body responds, then you decide where to go next. So there can be absolutely nothing happens, which means that energetic stimulus had no impact on your body. I was way off in my choice, and that energy it's like blowing on a brick wall, I say to people. So there's energy there, but it doesn't do anything because it's just not enough. It just doesn't work. And that just means try another remedy, and that's one of the beauties of homeopathy. There's no side effect, there's no reaction to a wrong remedy, because it's just energy, and if that energy doesn't resonate with your energy, nothing happens. So it's disappointing, but it doesn't have any detrimental side effects. And then there can be a close matching remedy, so you feel better for a short time, or some things get better, and then that needs to be monitored until I can decide, okay, I could do better. There's a better remedy, or no, this is working, and we'll stick with it. And sometimes you hit on like the absolute perfect match for someone, and everything changes. It's like a life-changing dose of a remedy, and that's rare, but it can happen where there's changes that happen very quickly through all systems of the body, and someone becomes balanced. And that's obviously what we're always aiming for and striving for when we're prescribing. But there are lots of remedies that can help someone, and those are good too, and sometimes you use several of them to get to that same state of perfect health rather than one perfect match.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you're always looking for the best match for them at that moment. And then you don't know until they take it and you see the reaction, how good your match was. And then you evaluate it, and then the next step. Stick with that remedy, pick a totally different one, or maybe change something about that remedy, the potency or the repetition.
I love the detective work involved in it.
Yes, it is like, I think of it as a puzzle, and you're trying to put it all together. You have lots of pieces. They start out really scattered all over the place, and then if you can at least get maybe the corners and the edges and a bit of the middle, and you can kind of see the picture. But it's rare that we have all the pieces to the puzzle, so it's rare that we get the medicine bang on, because there's pieces missing for whatever reason. The patient doesn't know about things in their past, maybe genetic tendencies or things that don't seem important, so they don't mention them, or you don't hear them when the patient says them. There's all different reasons that we just have this sort of part of the puzzle.
What paths have you pursued after completing your formal homeopathy education?
Yeah, after I finished, I studied with Lou Klein. He has a master clinician course that came to Toronto, luckily, right after I graduated.
Oh, perfect timing.
So I did that. That was a 2-year course, and that was really, really helpful. He's an amazing homeopath and taught me a lot. And I also went to India right after I graduated and did Sankaran's course there. And that was for 3 weeks, I think, and that was quite amazing. That was very different than anything I had studied up until then. The way that he was using his kingdom miasm symptom method of coming to the remedy and starting to do sensation stuff. So that was all new at the time, and it fascinated me, so I definitely sucked that all up. And then I just continued to take any seminar that came to Toronto. I took it. So I've seen lots and lots of homeopaths from different places in the world and who have different styles, and I think just trying to absorb each person's style and then trying it in my own practice and just taking what works for me and leaving the rest.
You always have to keep yourself in that environment to keep you passionate and keep you learning and that kind of thing. So I'm curious to know, how has your life changed as you've transitioned and evolved through the stages of being a student and a healthcare leader?
My life has changed dramatically. I'm a totally different person than I was when I registered for homeopathic college many, many years ago. So, and it's just that journey in discovering who I was and what was blocking me from being a good case taker, a good practitioner. So the passion to get good at this, it forced me to look at myself, and I'm so much happier with the person that I discovered that I was. So I was kind of walking around in a fog and wearing a mask and trying to be a certain person that I thought I was supposed to be, rather than really being my true self. And so it was through homeopathy and treatment, obviously, that I received myself from a homeopath, from many homeopaths really over the years, but also that striving to really understand people led me on my own journey to understanding myself.
As we have this conversation, how you mentioned that, like, as you grow and you develop that love for yourself, that unconditional love, and you can share it with your patients and they can open up. It just reminds me of a hot word that comes up in class a lot, and that's the word of compensation. Just like living in this world, there's a lot of compensation taking
we're all
place.
protecting ourselves, right? So and at some point, maybe that was a good thing to do in our childhood for a few minutes, but we decided to keep it for the rest of our lives, and it blocks us from really enjoying life, from being who we truly are, from loving, from experiencing the deepest joy that we can in our lives, because we're protecting. The body is just a reflection of what's happening mentally, emotionally, which we try and control instead of just, feeling those things. Of course, we should feel the feelings and go through the experiences, but then just let them go. I mean, today, compared to when I graduated, there's a lot more openness to energy and energy healing and energy medicine, and the fact that energy is what keeps our body running, and So that's nice, that awareness is starting to be there. But before we thought of ourselves more as a machine, and that there were parts, and the parts worked all separately, independently from each other, and we just had to keep all the parts healthy, and that was a totally different view of health. And this one makes a lot more sense to me. And
I've heard so many situations of people getting to a point like they choose a job because the primary focus is to make lots of money, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like it's incredible to hear that you can like be part of a profession that really resonates with you, that even amongst the challenge you want to keep pushing forward, but also develop yourself in the process. So it's like you're developing as your patients are developing, and it's an ongoing thing. It never stops, and it's like it's not like it has to be separate kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think any job that we do should fulfill us in that way, and it's different for everybody, but there's something to learn from any I mean, you're doing it all day long, at least, 4 or 5 days a week. So if you're not learning there and growing there, then you're probably not in the right job.
You were kind of touching upon this, like after you graduated, like trying to find clientele sometimes, because it was different in terms of people knowing about and people being open to it. So can you expand more on that? Like how was, once you started practicing, similar, different from what you imagined it would be like after you graduated?
I don't think I really had thought it through, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I hadn't really thought too much about it. And then I was all concerned with the practicality of it. Where was I going to have an office, and what were my fees going to be? And so that encompassed me for a little while. And then once that was all set up and I was sitting there, it was about, where am I going to find patients, because they don't just come and knock on your door, which I think is a misconception that a lot of students have, or a hope, I guess, that they have, that they're going to open their door and make an announcement, I'm here, and everyone is just gonna like flood in, and they're gonna be busy, and that's it. Public speaking was probably the thing I needed to do the most, because people needed to know what homeopathy was to begin with, or they weren't ever going to book an appointment. If they'd never heard of it and they didn't know what it was, they were certainly not going to come knock on my door. So that was a big challenge of mine, because I absolutely was terrified of public speaking.
No way.
So, yeah. So I just had to start doing it. So luckily it was small groups at the beginning, and then it just slowly grew. But I think, and even today, I think that's the best way to build your business, to get out and talk to as many people as you can, as often as you can. Just want to stay in it, because I think it's easy to say, well, I'm just going to do this part-time while I build up my practice, and then you get further and further away from your practice. You have to really consciously make an effort to stay with it, and whether that's spending 1 day a week studying, or meeting with colleagues 1 day a month, or whatever it is that works for you, you have to really stay in it. I feel like that's where people slipped away. They just didn't stay in it, and you have to make an effort to get together with people, or to put that study time in your weekly calendar, whatever it is, or promoting, time to promote yourself. We kind of don't make that a priority, and if you're not promoting yourself and scheduling a talk every week, every month, every 2, whatever it is, as many talks as you can, really. If you're not busy in your practice, that's what you should be doing, going out and talking to the public. But you have the time at the beginning to do the studying.
That's true.
So I feel like my practice only grew at the rate that it was meant to grow. So looking back, I was totally frustrated, but I didn't know enough when I started to have a busy practice. I would have been completely overwhelmed, and I probably would have given up. So my practice grew as I was able to handle it. I see that now. I would have complained about that in the past, but looking back, that's exactly what happened.
What are you absolutely most passionate about?
It's about seeing somebody become the best, become who they're supposed to be, become the healthiest version of themselves. That's what I'm most passionate about, I think, because you see all different types of ill health, and sometimes it's hard to see what they're going to look like as a healthier person. And it still amazes me to this day the changes that can happen after someone takes a homeopathic remedy. Changes happen on all levels, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and they can be a complete 360-degree turn for that person. And that gets me excited. That's what I'm really passionate about.
Do you have any future projects that you're planning to bring to fruition?
Okay. Perfect timing to ask such a question.
Oh, nice.
Because I am hoping and planning to go to Tanzania and work with Jeremy Scher, who has a homeopathy clinic there, Homeopathy for Health in Africa. And he treats a lot of AIDS patients, but lots of all different kinds of patients. So he takes volunteers, and that's my next goal to get that happening. I've never been to Africa, so that excites me greatly. And I've never done a homeopathy volunteering trip, so I'm really, really excited to see what that will look like and how that will work, and hopefully maybe translate that into some sort of volunteer project when I get home. Who knows? Yeah. So, now that practice is established and I'm busy, I start to think about what I can do to give back. So this is the start of that, and we'll see where it leads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited about that opportunity. Yeah.
So what are your words of wisdom for both prospective and current students?
Well, the most important thing is to love what you do. So you're going to be frustrated, and there's going to be lots of hard situations and difficult patients, but if this is what you really want to do and you really love it, then find the support that you need, because I think that's really important. And a lot of people who get into holistic health, I think, are really strong people, and they feel like they can do it on their own, and that's maybe why they get into a helping field, because they want to help others and they feel that they're strong enough to do that. But I think they forget, or they think they don't need the support themselves, and we really, really do need to be part of a community, to support each other, to help each other. If you're having a really tough case, it's invaluable to have another practitioner that you can call and talk to about it, or a teacher that you can call and run ideas past. And if you're just out there alone, it's a lot harder. So I think that's the one thing that we can do, both as students and as practitioners, to ease the load, is to work together and to lean on each other and to ask for help and ask for support. Because I know I did that just the same way that I see a lot of students do. You get out and you start and you're on your own, and you figure, no problem, I'll just do this by myself. And I think it would go a lot faster, and it would be a lot smoother if you worked together as a team. And patients will come. I think one of the other reasons we figure, well, we have to do it on our own because we have to get our own clients, and there can be sometimes this competition for clients, but not so much maybe in holistic healing, because I think we have that idea that everything will work out and everybody will get the client that is meant for them.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, for all different reasons, we kind of isolate ourselves, and it's a kind of practice where you don't, you just need you and a desk and some paper, and you can get started. So it's not like people, but if you get in with a holistic kind of clinic where you can, bounce ideas off of people and talk to people, and everybody goes through the same stuff when they're building a practice. So it's really nice to talk to people about it and to get their support and to get their advice. They've already been through it, so pick their brains and challenge them and ask them, and they're there to help you and guide you so that your struggle is not too overwhelming for you. So I think that's my biggest tip, my biggest words of wisdom, to seek out the support and the colleagues do it together as opposed to being isolated, and it'll be a lot easier, and you'll move through it faster too. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
No problem. That was my pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity
Oh,
to speak.
most definitely. So happy to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this was wonderful. And good luck to you as
Thank
you start your
you.
own practice. And I'm
Yes,
here if
soon
you have
enough.
questions or,
Definitely.
yeah, for sure. That's great.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Julie.
You're welcome. Thank you.